A blessed new moon, a blessed Sabbath. I want to welcome you all as we start the month of the 8th month of the biblical calendar, the month called Sheshban. We have finished the month of Tishri, which was the 7th month, full of all the fixed and appointed times of God, and hoping we were all refreshed by the feast. As we are now beginning the 8th month, which begins today, on a date of the 7th of October 2021. I want to welcome you all from the comfort of your homes so we can enjoy present truth. And as we are going to study today the topic, which is Judgment of the Living, Part 3. We are going to study from the book of Isaiah chapter 5, from verse 1 up to 7. We will read and understand what God has written these prophecies for us to understand in our time. Right? Let us read from the first verse.
Verse 1.
Verse 1.
Now will I sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard.
Now, what is a vineyard? Vineyard is the church of God. This is what is called a vineyard. So God is saying he has got a song to sing. Imagine. It's a special place where God has chosen a song. And the song starts from Isaiah chapter 5. Singing for the church, for the house of God, which is going through judgment of the living. There is a special song. Now you have to listen to the words, not the tune, but the words of the special song. I've seen people singing, and people enjoy tunes, tempos, yeah. None enjoy lyrics. To hear exactly what words are coming from the song. This is what we've got to do from Isaiah chapter 5. We've got to listen to the words as they are proclaimed from the word of God, which is the song coming from God, singing for the church. Listen to what the song is, right?
My well-beloved at the vineyard.
God says, really, you are my well-beloved. And he's got a vineyard.
In a very fruitful hill.
And that hill, when it was established in 1844, this church was fruitful, very fruitful. That's why people will tell you that from 1844 when Sister White started this movement, this is a ship which will never sink. Of course, this is there in the Bible. It says, my well-beloved had a vineyard in a very fruitful hill. A hill is a mountain, as a mountain is a church. So there is a song God wants to sing for this fruitful hill. Right? Let's hear.
And he fenced it.
Now, in the first place, he organized it. He fenced it. Right? Before you build any house, what starts? It's a fence. You start by fencing the hill. Right? Let's hear.
And gathered out the stones thereof.
And also gathered the pillars who were going to preach the third angel's message onwards. All these stones, God had to start organizing it and put precious stones. Right? Let's hear.
And planted it with the choicest vine.
And he had to choose select messengers. Sister White was a very selected messenger, coming from being a student of William Miller. And even furthermore, when God has this vineyard, he further chooses workers. Right? And what happened?
And built a tower in the midst of it.
And in the midst of it, he built a tower. Right? And what?
And also made a winepress therein.
Right?
And he looked.
So the wine press is a printing press. The publishing departments, everything, publishing the books of the soon coming of Christ, select all lands and spread them like leaves of autumn. This is what happened when this movement was started by Sister White. The first thing they knew, without having a publishing house or press, printing press, everything. And God is saying, I set a tower. I gathered the stones thereof and planted it with the choicest vine. Yeah? And built a tower in the midst of it. Right? And also made wine press, which is a printing press. Right? Therein. So what else? Listen to that.
And he looked that it should bring forth grapes.
Now, he has finished with this vine. He has set up everything, the choicest seeds, everything. Now he wants to check whether there are fruits from the vine. Yeah?
And he looked that it should bring forth grapes.
Right.
And it brought forth wild grapes.
Now, instead, you go to the vine which has been so selected by God and selected the messengers. And, there's no messenger who was as great as Sister White. And there's no messenger who was great who followed even Sister White as Viti whatever. No message which was great as Ben Roden. Until our time, God goes selecting. But at the end, what came out of the fruits come at the end. That's why I'm saying at the end of the vineyard. It's not when they were still growing. No. God was saying, let both grow together until the harvest. Now, at the time of the last, second, fourth, and fifth message, which is the harvest message, at the end, when they tasted the grapes, they were not sweet. What were they? Wild grapes. And imagine God has prepared all this for the vine. The vine is the best and the choicest of workers, the prophets. That's where they are in this vine. But what is the end in the fourth and fifth message? Wild grapes. What do you think this prophecy is? Is it just the pen of the scribe which is being wasted writing all this in the Bible? No, it's for you and me to take all and dig deeper and take all the prophecies and see what God is communicating, because we cannot hop in the cloud without understanding all these prophecies, nitty-gritties. God has selected a special time in the harvest where we should select and understand these prophecies. Otherwise, all this time, you are holding a book with prophecies that you don't even know. But there is this time when God has people who have gone through the last message, which is the fifth angel's message, who start now to unveil all the prophecies that no one is able to teach you. Now, let's hear now what happened. At the end, there were bitter grapes, right? He came forth and it brought forth wild grapes. Is it what God was expecting? No. God had cultivated his vineyard. He has made the vineyard most prosperous with the righteousest of the seeds, the choicest of the stones, and put it in a hill and well organized it and made it. But what at the end, when the farmer comes to find the harvest, the harvest message comes to this vine, right? The latter end comes to the vine. What comes out? Wild grapes. Right, let's hear more.
And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem,
we know
men
now
of
what
Judah.
Jerusalem is from the studies previously. That's where the two tribes of Judah were worshipping. All inhabitants of Jerusalem. Right, listen to that.
And men of Judah,
Judge,
I pray you.
So, Judge, I pray you. So you know exactly which extent where we find the two tribes. It's after the 12 tribes have been divided. 10 tribes of Israel worshipping in Samaria, 2 tribes worshipping in Jerusalem. And that's where we find those who were believing, the brother Viti whatever, under the name Judah, because they progressed with the light. Those in Samaria, they were stuck and not with under Jeroboam, not keeping the feast according to what God designed. Of course, we saw Jeroboam changing times of the feast. Yeah, the Feast of Tabernacle was on the 8th month, which is Sheshvan, which we are starting today. And on the 15th day, instead of what is written in Leviticus 23, it should be on the 15th day of the 7th. But he went to 15th day of the 8th. This is what those who worship under the name Samaria do? They don't put things according to the appointed times in the Bible. Now here, the ones who progressed were now the following messenger after Sister White, who is Viti whatever, under the Lord. They were now worshipping at the door of the temple and under the name Judah. Now it says, listen to those men of Judah, right? It's talking to them, right? Listen.
Judge
then.
I pray you.
Betwixt
me and my vineyard.
Between God and the vineyard. So now the progression of unrolling of the scroll is going to the point where we now have those who have the second seal, which is New Jerusalem, under the road. Now God is saying, what he has done for this vine, the vineyard, he's done all his best of all his, strength. Then now start judging between God and the vineyard. This is what he's saying in the next verse. Judge, right?
What could have been done
right.
more to my vineyard?
We are commenting and we are still reading this verse, and he's saying, what then could have been done? Still on Isaiah 5, right? Listen to that.
What could have been done more to my vineyard that
then,
I have not done in it?
God is saying is like this. What could I have done more than what I did? Under the third angel's message, I selected the choicest stone, which was Sister White. Gave all the messages, selected the choicest stone, which was the brother Hotel. And then now he's selecting Brother Roden. But what happened? When it comes to harvest, that's why we have the two messages, which are harvest messages. What does he find in the vineyard?
Wild grapes.
Wild grapes. So what should I have done? Listen to that. Believe me, by the way, this is a song. He says, I'm singing a song. God is saying, this is his song. Right? Let's hear.
Wherefore,
right?
When I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes.
Right.
And now, go to, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard.
Right.
I will take away the hedge thereof.
What verse is that? Under Isaiah 5, what verse is that? Oh, okay. You're just reading. Okay, read.
I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard.
Right.
I will take away the hedge thereof.
Right.
And it shall be eaten up.
So he has promised what he's going to do. He says, now, what's the use of that fence that I first did? I fenced this vineyard. Right? What verse was it? Verse 5. Right. So I have taken that fence. I'm now going to do one thing to this vineyard. I'm going to remove the fence. Now, if you start taking off the fence from your house, which is well built, you start removing the fence, you're leaving the fence, the house without protection. You leave the fence, anyone can use it. Not only, it's no longer yours. Because all the people who see the fence has been removed, they start flooding. They start flooding that house because anyone now has been given permission to just come and flood it. Do you understand? This is what God has promised. Now what I'm going to do to this house, I will remove the fence. Taken off the fence. This is what is biblical. Right? While you go on talking and saying this ship is flourishing, it won't sink, it won't, and numbers come and say we are now expanding, because the fence was removed. So the numbers are now coming of people who have nothing to do with God, flooding like it was in Revelation chapter 12, that the dragon took the flood out of his mouth and splashed over the well-built place for being God's vineyard. So he has removed the defense. Now let's hear more.
I will take away the hedge thereof.
So the hedge is out.
And it shall be eaten up.
Now God says briars and thorns. You remember the melody of Revelation 18. What is it? Now when you read Revelation 18, go to Revelation 18. What happens when he now starts calling the vineyard Babylon? What is it? What is inhabiting Babylon? Let's hear. Revelation chapter 18, verse 1.
Verse 1.
Yeah.
And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven,
Right?
having great power, and
Right.
the earth was lightened with his glory.
Right.
And he cried mightily with a strong
So we
voice.
know that Revelation 18 is the fifth angel's message. Right? It's the branch message. He has been commissioned to come and as an angel to announce that. What is he announcing? Let's
And he
hear.
cried mightily with a strong voice,
Yeah.
saying, Babylon the Great is fallen.
Now is the fifth angel which exposes Babylon. Right?
Is
And
fallen,
fallen.
and is become the habitation of devils,
Right?
and the hold of every foul spirit, and
Right.
the cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
Now you understand when God comes in Isaiah chapter 6, verse 5 and 6, there he says, now when I remove the hedge, it has got briars and thorns. Now Revelation 18 tells you what the briars of thorns. It says it's a hedge full of all evil spirits, all what,
clean
because
and
now
hateful.
everyone just fled because the hedge which was around it had been removed. Did you hear that? Now this is a prophecy, brethren. You have to understand what is going on, and this will give us in the judgment of the living a focus on what God is doing and how he sees us. How is it? Why is he introducing a sealing process? Why? Because amongst those who are in this vineyard, there are people who are still loyal, who are sighing and crying and seeing this fence has been removed. It's no longer what it was when Sister White was there. It's no longer what it was when Brother Viti was there or Brother Roden was there. But why? Because the fence is removed. So it is the job now. Because the fence is removed, we will see why, the reason why God will send Elijah the prophet under Revelation 18 to announce that Babylon now is fallen. Why? It's because the fence has been, we have a habit of sending that Revelation 13 of Babylon to other outside Gentiles like that. This is what we have a habit. But God is not talking of the Gentiles right now whose fence has been removed, the hedge has been removed. No, the hedge is first removed. Where judgment is occurring, or judgment of the living occurring first. Why? Because the fence was removed. So God has to select. He has to select the 144,000 who are sealed with a message. So to come out of that place where there was a hedge, now the hedge is not there. There are briars and thorns. Now repeat the verse where you were reading.
And now go to, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard.
Right?
I will take away the hedge thereof,
Right?
and it shall be eaten up,
Right.
and break down the wall thereof,
Right.
and it shall be trodden down.
Right. So
And I will lay it waste.
Right. So the hedge has been taken, has been removed. And God is saying, instead, what is there, because it's no longer tilling that land, it's no longer tilling, it's got briars and thorns. Right?
And I will lay it waste.
Right?
It shall not be pruned nor digged,
Right.
but there shall come up briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that
Right.
they rain no rain upon
Right.
it.
Right. So you see what God has done. That's why we knew that when the wife was given eagle's wings to fly to the wilderness, what happened to the woman when he was in the wilderness? The dragon took water and flooded to that woman, and what to cause it to be taken away? The woman was given 1,260 years to be in the wilderness, to be nourished by God. But God is saying now, when the fence is taken off, what comes on? The woman has no nourishment, has no letter, has no messages, no nothing. This is what we have read. I will lay it waste. It shall not be pruned nor digged, but there shall come up briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain. So the rain is the spiritual rain. So no messages come. That's why we are professing that there's no message. There's no prophet since 1844, since 1915 Sister White died. There's no prophet. Why are we saying that? Because no rain is coming. No spiritual rain is coming. This is what God said. I'll stop that. And then what? Right, let's hear.
For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts
Right.
is the house of Israel.
Right.
And the men of Judah, his pleasant plant.
Right.
And he looked for judgment, but behold oppression.
Right.
For righteousness, but behold a cry.
Right. So instead of righteousness, there was a cry. Instead of, why? Because it was a pleasant land. But now what has happened? Briars and thorns have been filling that vineyard. Why? Because this is what God found, that they did not progress with the fourth and fifth angel's message in Revelation chapter 14. They went up to verse 9, where the third angel's message is. But verse 14 up to 17, they did not go up to that. Right? Now, we want to understand more about this verse. These verses, we are commenting from the quote of L4P933. It is commenting about this from the spirit of prophecy. Right?
These verses of scripture tell a sad story for us, the church.
Right?
But the Lord gives us a remedy in verse 3.
Right. So if we go back to Isaiah chapter 5, verse 3.
Verse 3.
There is a remedy.
And now, all inhabitants of Jerusalem,
Right?
and men of Judah, judge.
Judge. So we have been given a remedy. We are supposed to judge between God and the
In the
vineyard.
vineyard.
Who is wrong? Is it God who is wrong? Or is it the vineyard which is wrong? We have been given a remedy to think who between God and the vineyard is wrong. Now read on.
Betwixt me and my vineyard.
Right?
Sorry.
So here, continue where I was reading from. What is your decision?
Right. What is your decision, brethren? Are you going to choose the Lord by accepting his message, the Lord our righteousness?
What is the message called the Lord our righteousness? It's in Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 6. That's the message of Lord our righteousness. What is it? Verse 6.
Jeremiah 23, verse 6. In his days, Judah shall be saved.
Right. We'll start from verse 5.
Verse 5. Behold, the days come,
Right.
saith the Lord, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch.
Now God says, I will raise unto David now a righteous branch. Right? In his days, listen to that, verse 6.
Verse 6. In his days, Judah shall be saved,
Right?
and Israel shall dwell safely. And this is the name whereby he shall be called,
Right.
the Lord our righteousness.
Right. So we see that when he raises a righteous branch, in his days, Judah shall be saved. Who is now Judah? The one who continued at the door of the temple in Jerusalem. We saw in his days he will raise the further messenger after Vineyard. The further messenger preached about the branch. Who is this one? Brother Ben Roden preached about the righteous branch. And in his days, then Judah, the ones worshipping on the door of the temple, are going to be saved. Do you see that? Now, right? Or in Isaiah chapter 5, verse 6, that's the remedy.
Verse 6.
Right?
And I will lay it waste. It shall not be pruned nor digged.
Right?
But there shall come up briars and thorns. I'll also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it.
So here, let's go and compare again with Jeremiah chapter 33, verse 1.
Jeremiah 33, verse 1. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto Jeremiah
Right?
the second time, while he was yet shut up in the court of the prison, saying,
Right?
Thus says the Lord, the maker thereof,
Right?
the Lord that formed it, to establish it.
Right?
The Lord is his name.
Right?
Call unto me, and I will answer thee,
Right?
and shew thee great and mighty things which thou knowest not.
Right. So here, let's comment on the chapter that I gave you. There are 7 wars. Listen to that.
There are 7 wars passed upon this vineyard.
Right.
6 are found in Isaiah 5.
Right. We saw 6 wars found in Isaiah 5. Right? And
Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou that wast not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee.
right?
When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled.
Right.
And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee.
So the first chapter we are reading, Isaiah chapter 5, gave us the first 6 wars. As we read, God was saying, he made all the charges. I did this to this vineyard, I did this, those are the wars. Then he says, now I'm going to come because it's full of briars and thorns. Now, the 7th war is in Isaiah 33. This is what we are reading in Isaiah 33. It says, what does it say?
Verse 1.
A
Woe to thee that spoilest,
Right.
and thou wast not spoiled,
Right?
and dealest
What?
treacherously.
How does the vineyard produce these thorns and briars? Listen how the vineyard produced the thorns and briars. It says, woe to thee that spoilest, and thou wast not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, right? Listen, read on from there.
When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled.
Right.
And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee.
Right. So what is it that the vineyard did? Initially, it was very fruitful. So by being fruitful, what was it doing? How was the vineyard becoming, bigger and bigger? Okay.